No, they're not a sponsor, but I found this kind of interesting. Lithium-ion, the same battery technology needed to power your lawn tools, now available to cut your scruff. Self-sharpening blades, I don't believe it. 3-hour runtime, how big and how thick is your beard, bro? I always knew you were a Minuteman. And honestly, seriously, bro, if your hair is this color, you probably just need to spend a little less time in the pool. The other thing is, if it's that thin, you may want to consider Hair Club for Men and worry about the beard another day. The 1-minute quick charge will deliver you over 3 minutes of use. She's definitely going to be glad to hear that. For me, this is what happens when you spray and get a little too heavy-handed with the tenacity. Turns things white for a while. I'm hoping this will clear up, though, in a couple weeks. What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So today, as pretty much every weekend day, I've got a lot going on. I'm gonna bring you along with it, but today's main purpose of today's video, in other words, if you wanna get just to the tips, I'll link you there. I'm gonna talk all about lawn fertilizing questions and answers. Obviously, I've had this channel for a long time, and there's recurring questions that I get often, so I figure I would sit down today and answer those because fall's coming up and most of you are getting ready to do some fertilizing. So I figured I would go ahead and answer some of your most common questions to hopefully help you out as you get started here real soon. We're also going to talk about this beast a little bit because I had ordered something that came in, and that's really my first task of the day, is to put something on that machine right there. But before we put that on, sorry if you're seeing my flip-flop shoes in here, it's the middle of the summer. Before we do that though, I just want to see one thing here when it comes to this little beaut. This is all side discharge garbage, and I ran over it a few times, so got to get the mulching attachment hooked up. I got to talk to them about that once I get the mulching attachment hooked up. And what's that say? 4? Sure does. Interesting. Okay. Just for fun and without revealing the brand name on this mower, so I wouldn't want to do that, Mr. Lawyer. Let's just see something here. Let's see. Well, isn't that interesting? I don't know if you can see that, and I don't plan to be any kind of expert here at how measuring tapes work, but that looks like 4 1/4. Maybe even slightly more. Back over to the beast here. As your friends will tell you, every 1/4 inch matters. So even though this is at the highest and it's 4, and I've just found out that the mowers that I'm used to using mow at 4 1/4, at least now I know how I can eke an extra 1/4 out of this gal here. There's always tips to make things look a little bit longer. What I gotta do, if you look here, I got some play there, you see that? Got some play in the deck there. I'd say that's at least a 1/4, right? Maybe 1/8, but I bet it's what I need. And it looks like they've already got some metal spacers in here. See there? Like some washers. And let's see, this one's got 1 washer right here, right? And this one's got 2 washers right here. This one's got 2 washers right here. That one's got 1 washer. I wonder if that's some way that they balance it or something at the factory. I wonder if that's some way that they compensate at the factory by putting these washers in there You know, maybe they do some sort of balancing. I don't know. You guys let me know. But I just saying, what I can do is shove some more washers under there. And as long as I keep things level, I should be able to get another 1/4 inch out of that, I hope. So this is the mulch kit for that WorldLawn 32 over there. Now I paid for this. The mower they sent me at my request, you're gonna hear the whole review, I'll tell you everything. But they sent me that $2,400 mower. They sent it to me. Love you, WorldLawn. But it didn't come with a mulch kit. So I went ahead and paid for that, obviously. Not a big deal, $133. So when you get a $2,400 lawnmower for free, I think it's okay to spring up the $133 and not be upset about it. So I've tried dry fitting this a couple different ways here. I put this one in first. It's this one. It just, this or that. That one right there just needs to be higher up because it just will not line up. This I can bend into place so you can see, and it lines up. But that one will not. So I guess their own genuine parts don't always fit exactly right. And there's no instructions or anything in the box, so it's not like you can tell me I'm doing anything wrong. Not a fit. Nowhere to go. So we're gonna have to go with 2 bolts in. Okay, so this next piece, let's see if I can do this. This next piece goes up in here like this, right? And what that'll do is it'll keep the clippings, you know, up underneath there just a little bit longer, so you can see how that works. So what's interesting is these are the holes that they anchor in, and then welded on the other side of that, I don't know if you'd be able to see it, there's a nut. You can't see it because it's of the light, but there's a nut. So when you put this, you know, threaded bolt in there, it goes up into that nut, presumably. In my case, it's not that it's not lined up, it's just full of garbage. There we go. I always wondered what these were used for. Now the only other issue as I can see it is this one goes in there, right? And it lines up fine, but that's not threaded. See, all the other holes have been threaded, this one's not. But as I look through my kit that they sent, there's no extra nut. So I'm gonna have to supply my own. Strike again, WorldLawn, making me supply my own nut. Do you have this bucket in your house? All of us have this bucket, right? This has gotta have the nut. This is where the blind squirrel finds his nut. Let's see. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Oh, no dice. I think that's the same thing we just had. Yeah. No dice. It's like running a hot dog down a warm hallway. All right, so none of the searching bore fruit, but since I'm not going to be using the side discharge anymore, I'm just going to take one of these nuts off of here. I should have thought about that like 2 hours ago before I started digging through the garage aimlessly on a failed mission. So here are the original blades, and here are the mulching blades. And I do not think these are sharpened. They feel pretty blunt to me. Especially when I compare, you know, to the ones that came on the mower. They are definitely sharper. But I could be wrong. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and put a quick edge on these. Alright, so welcome back into the new garage studio. I don't know how this is going to work out. This is the second time I've tried this. Got some pretty good feedback the last time, so I guess you guys like it. The setting's very comfortable for me, that's for sure. I'm still working on the audio. I've actually got my audio down here. I don't know how to, I need to get it set up here, really, but we'll see how that turns out. So I figure what I'm going to do is answer some of the most frequently asked questions. I'm going to give you one tip for sure out there in a few minutes, but for the most part, I'm just going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions I get. And the first one that I've gotten, especially recently because I just put out a fall lawn care tips video, link in the description below, is, Alan, do you recommend composting the lawn, either after aeration, before aeration, or just whenever? Do you recommend, spreading or top dressing the lawn with compost? And so that is definitely a question that I get often, and the answer is no, I don't typically. And the reason being is because the reason that you top dress your lawn, or the reason that people cite for it, is that you want to increase soil organisms activity, you want to add more soil organisms in. The challenge that I have with that is I already believe that even in the worst lawns, there are already plenty of these organisms in your soil. All you need to do is feed them to make them take off and to make them multiply and make them do their own thing naturally. Adding foreign microbes in, I'm sure that's good, but why wouldn't you just be natural and increase the ones that have already kind of made it out by natural selection, the ones that are even in the worst lawn that are still alive? Those are the strong beasts. Let's let them reproduce within our lawn. To me, that's actually more natural than adding something from the outside. Additional to that is that there is some NPK value in the compost that you're going to add, but we don't know how much. First of all, you don't have an even way to spread it. You're going to typically use a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and you're maybe going to have to rake it through. You're going to keep it 1/2 inch thick, no thicker for sure. And how are you going to get that evenly on the lawn? You're not. That's why we use fertilizers, because they're actually packaged and they're actually manufactured in such a way that we can get those spread evenly across the lawn to get a consistent application. Again, and on top of that, you don't even actually know the NPK ratios of that compost. Is it going to be enough? Is it too much? Do you need to supplement it? You just don't know. And so with that, I just recommend against it. If you really are interested in improving soil activity, feeding the soil food web, getting more earthworms, honestly, I recommend you just fertilize every 4 to 5 weeks, no matter where you live. Throw or down organic fertilizer. I like to use Milorganite, and I also like to use Ringer, and I like to switch them up back and forth because they're both going to react a little differently in your soil. But that's really what you compost for. You compost because you want to build up your soil health. And I'll go to bat saying that you'll do the exact same thing and get the exact same results if you just switch to 100% organic fertilizers and hit your lawn with them every 4 to 5 weeks during the growing season. Throw her down! All right, now another one I get is about Poa annua, or annual bluegrass, right? Because I talk so much here in the fall about, you got to aerate, you got to overseed, you got to do this, you got to do that. But some of you have a problem with Poa. So here's the deal with that. You're going to have to make a decision. Is the overall thinness of your lawn worse than the Poa problem that you fought this year or that you saw this year? If you don't have a problem with Poa, or you only have a small problem, then you can maybe pick and choose certain areas. If you know that it was limited to an area, typically maybe where there's a little bit more moisture, if you know it's limited to that area, well then that's the area that you should go ahead and apply your pre-emergent in and not worry about any fresh grass seed, and then do the rest of the lawn with an aeration overseed. I also recommend that if you are going to put down pre-emergents for Poa, that you don't aerate those areas, because all that does is it breaks the soil up, and we really want a nice clean soil bed for that pre-emergent to settle in so it can work. So if you do decide to go the route of pre-emergent for Poa, you're going to want to put that down probably now if you're up north in the cool season temperatures, and down south you can wait till mid to later September, depending on when soil temperatures start to go down. For me, that's not going to probably be till October. And I'll link in the description below to some good products for you, depending if you have
cool season or warm season grass. Throw her down! All right, another question that I get that relates to fall lawn care is, after you aerate, do I need to pick up the cores? And the answer is no, don't pick them up. Just let them break down naturally. You should be mulching your clippings when you mow, which, by the way, is another way of composting, is mulching. But you should be mulching anyway, and that's going to help to break up those clippings a little bit. Another thing people ask is, should I mow lower or higher? No, just keep mowing at your same amount. I recommend 3.5 to 4 inches tall for cool season grasses. St Augustine, 4 1/4 inches, as you've seen, or higher. And then Bermuda, you guys got to decide what you're going to do. But as a rule, don't pick up those cores. And you want to make sure that you get a core that's at least the size of your thumb, a couple inches there. But if you can get one that's 3 or 4 inches long, that's even better. The deeper the core, the better the results. Again, because we're trying to establish area for that root structure to thicken and deepen and widen. And so the larger, the deeper the cores, the more area that's there for the grass roots to move into. Throw her down! Okay, another one that comes up, I guess a lot of stuff's around aeration, so we'll just stick with that theme there. But another one that comes up is, should I cut the lawn before I aerate? And the answer is not required, but think about if you're doing an aeration, if you've ever done one, you know, the longer the grass is, the tougher, the messier things are going to be. So yeah, if you can, certainly you should cut the grass first. I mean, when I did it for True Green, I aerated thousands of lawns, I'm sure, probably, but no, not all those were cut first, and it didn't really affect anything. But just keep things clean, sure, you should cut first. Don't cut any lower than normal, but just cut, you know, like you normally would. And then it also seems that there's some confusion around the starter fert and the Milorganite. So let me straighten that out too. All of it's done in the same day. You aerate, then you overseed, then you apply Milorganite, and then you apply starter fertilizer. The only thing that has to come first is the aeration. Other than that, the other stuff can come in whatever order you want, but do them all in the same day. And then don't forget, if you have areas that are overall thin, go ahead and put in a little Scott's Patchmaster or some other kind of covering, just to make sure to keep that stuff tucked in and sticky tight.
Sticky tight.
Throw her down! And then going back to cool season lawns, you guys have some kind of privileges that we don't down here, and that is that you can mix grass types. There is no need to have a single species monocultured lawn here, okay? I like blends when you can do it, because if you have disease that sweeps in, it may hit one cultivar but not another. It may hit one grass type but not another. So personally, I think that turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, perennial rye, those can all be mixed together. You know, the fescue, you know, may not look perfect, but still, I think a little bit of a good newer quality, newer made, newer cultivated tall fescue would do just fine with a little KY Blue, because you can push KY Blue to 4 inches all day long and it'll be just fine. Now, for those of us in the South, we don't have that. You kind of have to have a single species lawn, or, well, in my case, I don't, and I don't have any choice. So actually, let me take you out there and kind of reveal something to you. Show you something that I'm going to start working on here probably in the fall. All right, so this is my side yard. This is my driveway right here. This is the side yard. And by the way, you can see little leftovers from the WorldLawn there. But anyway, this is about 40% Bermuda invaded here, and not as much St. Augustine, but the worst part is this.
That there, my friends, is torpedo grass. Yes, sirree bobber. And this is the death nail for a St. Augustine lawn. Some people say that it looks a lot like St. Augustine, and it does, but I can definitely see the difference in it. It's ugly. One other thing too, if you're fighting with torpedo grass, it looks differently after it's been cut a lot than it does when it's wild, and I think a lot of people misdiagnose it because of that. So this torpedo grass has been cut a lot, and what you'll notice is, see how it kind of shortens and stacks itself up. See that? See if you can see it there. Got to clear out those weeds over there. Look at those already, crack weeds. Anyway, see how it kind of shortens itself up like that? That's because it's been cut a lot, so it's just spreading wide, I think. Now let me show you what it looks like though when you see it with, you know, uninhibited or unhindered. See, so here it is, and this is what it's known for. This is a brand new bed here. It grows right up through everything. But see, that's what most people, when you look online, you're going to see torpedo grass that looks like that, right? Large growing clumps of it. So it looks different when it's in a lawn and it's been cut down short.
Yeah, so that's torpedo grass. There is absolutely nothing I could have done to prevent it. It's been a super mushy, rainy area. The other thing is, and this is really what I wanted to bring up to you, is it's important when you live somewhere to know what the site was previous to you living there. Now, I mentioned in the last video old school lawns. If you have an old school lawn, it's not going to matter so much. But if you're somewhere where, like I am, where this house was built in 2005, I would say anything that's been built in the last 25 years or so, it's really important to know the history of that lawn, because knowing what used to be there will help you realize what's there now or what problems you may be experiencing. For example, this lawn here, this section, actually this house, this side of the street, this all used to be kind of swampy, soupy swampland. But just across the street over there used to be cow pasture for many years. So over there across the street, they have different problems than we do here. And because this is soupy, swampy, old school swampland, that area of the lawn out there stays wet all the time. It's just always wet, especially in a year like this where our rainy season has been tripled what it normally is. And so when you have a part of your lawn here in Florida that's massively wet all the time, it invites torpedo grass and the stuff just takes over. I literally was gone a week, didn't really look at it, came back. I saw it in one little patch, didn't know what it was at first. I thought it was nimblewill actually. Did a little research, and a week later, boom, it was everywhere. And I've got it over on the other side too. You can see torpedo grass in here. I don't know if you'll see it in the video, but it kind of goes right through there. And this is actually where the construction was done and where they took their wheelbarrows up. I told you, I put some pre-emergent down, but it was too late. And I don't know if the pre-emergent I used even works for this, but either way, that's what it was. It just damaged the grass right there, and bam, the torpedo grass just moved right in. Look at that. We'll do nuclear options down here. But I'm going to explore some nuclear options for that. So now I've got a couple choices to make with that size section of the lawn over there. The thing that you'll realize if you have St. Augustine lawns is that St. Augustine is great. It may be a tough grass, but it's actually quite weak when it comes to chemical applications. Almost every selective herbicide that you can use to eliminate a problem grass or a problem weed down here in the south, it also kills St. Augustine. So with that, there's absolutely nothing I can do to kill that torpedo grass aside from nuclear options. Now I am going to do some nuclear options on the other side where I actually have a little bit of torpedo grass coming in that I can handle, where the St. Augustine is super thick and resistant. But over here on this side, where I've got torpedo grass invading a lawn that is a very high percentage of Bermuda, you can see that nuclear options don't make sense. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to start mowing a little bit lower, and I'm going to use quinclorac, which will not harm the Bermuda grass, but it will kill the torpedo grass. It'll also kill the St. Augustine. So by doing this over time, I'm not going to really target the St. Augustine directly, but by killing the torpedo grass with the quinclorac over time and allowing the Bermuda to spread in, I'm also going to cut lower, which will also stunt down the St. Augustine. I'm actually going to turn that naturally. I'm going to naturalize it into a Bermuda lawn. Now, I already know what a lot of you are thinking, oh, that's a mistake, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, probably this entire lawn may become Bermuda at some point. And I'm okay with that. The idea here is I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to work with it. I'm going to do nuclear options in small sections as long as I can, and then I'm going to do this over there, and we're just going to see what happens. So that's some content to stay tuned for over the next few weeks, months, whenever I decide to start that. That's when we'll do that. I don't know what we'll call it. Maybe we'll call it our own version of Frankenlawn over here. We'll see. But we'll make a series out of it of converting this lawn as naturally as we possibly can from St. Augustine to Bermuda while getting rid of the torpedo grass in the midst. Throw her down! Okay, lastly, I'm going to give you a tip that a few of you have asked about. And this one is how do you fertilize parkways when you have a swath? Look at my spreader right there. When your swath is, 5-6 foot wide, but your parkway is only like 3 or 4 feet wide. What do? Let me just show you a quick way to use your edge guard to kind of make fertilizing a parkway a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner. All right, so here's this parkway, and I don't know how wide that is. Whatever. It's not as wide as a swath. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set the edge guard. So as you can see, the edge guard is going to throw to the right, so we're going to turn it on. There we go, set up right on the edge, and go. Look at that, baby. Nice and easy. Yeah, a little bit on the sidewalk, but not too bad. A lot less than you'd normally see. Now you do it down both sides because remember, it's a half app and a half app, so that simulates one full app or overlap. Anyway, there you go. I hope these tips have been helpful to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting my apple Milorganite down here because you guys know what's coming up here in a couple weeks. With that, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the lawn.